What's up guys, how are y'all doing today? Today I want to actually make a video talking about Battery Day and basically what might actually be showcased in Battery Day. And one thing is for sure is that it's not going to be a million-mile battery, or if it is, it's not just going to be a million-mile battery. I'm going to give my opinion on why it's not only going to be a million-mile battery, and before we get started I want you to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already so we can get right into it. Alright, so there's a big reason why I think that the million-mile battery is not really what Tesla is aiming for in its general term. Obviously, a million-mile battery is actually very useful in whatever you really want, especially in a car term. No one's really going to drive a million miles. It's going to be meant for like more grid storage or V2G, any sort of thing like that. It's going to be an amazing vehicle for, or just an amazing battery for that purpose. But the thing is, the million-mile battery is not supposed to represent just the fact that the car will be able to drive 1 million miles. Obviously, it would only lose about a maximum of 20% of its battery capacity by the time it's actually done 1 million miles. That's the actual purpose. But I feel like that is not going to be the case. I feel like it's going to last much longer, and current Tesla batteries last a very long time anyways.
I mean, are you expecting Tesla to have the million-mile battery on Battery Day, whenever that may be?
I think they got one right now. I'll tell you one thing that I found out. Tesla lies. You probably don't believe this, but Tesla lies. They understate continuously.
Listening to the interview between Sandy Munro and the guys at Now You Know YouTube channel, they do an amazing job at all of this, so I highly suggest you actually watch the video because it's actually amazing, really. And they're gonna have their second part coming today, technically. I think you'll watch this. It'll come out today. I think that's what it is. Basically, Sandy is talking about how Tesla lies, and lies in the sense that they understate everything they have. So right now they're actually stating that they have a battery that can go 300 to 500,000 miles. But we've seen Teslas with 700,000 miles using the previous gen batteries that were in the Model S and X. And Sandy said that those cars were actually run by Tesloop, a company called Tesloop.
I know that the General Motors Battery Day announcing that, there was going to be a million-mile battery. So what? What, the rest of the car is going to fall apart? I mean, the only two parts that are going to be left working is the electric motor and the battery. I don't get it. I don't understand the rationale. But I can tell you that, God, I forgot his name. But anyways, he's got a company called Tesloop. He's got cars with 750,000 miles on them right now, running from LA to Las Vegas.
And they supercharge every single time they have to charge their vehicle. They don't slow charge, which means they're putting pretty much the most amount of stress on their battery, and they got 700,000 miles out of their original battery. And obviously they'll get more out of it just because it's a battery, doesn't just suddenly die. If it's a bad battery, you will know if it's a bad battery well in advance, and you can get that replaced under warranty anyways. But basically, I think those cars also had unlimited miles of warranty on the powertrain. 8 years and unlimited miles, something like that. It was actually very cool. And basically, I think Tesloop actually took that as an advantage, and seeing that those cars are actually dirt cheap to run, and I think it was grandfathered in that it was free unlimited supercharging. All you would have to do is just charge up in LA, drive to Vegas, charge up in Vegas, drive back to LA, and you're basically done. Now, that's basically all you really had to do. Now, with that being said, if those batteries last 700,000 miles, and those are the previous gen, supposedly previous gen batteries that were the 18650 cells that still go in the Model S and X sedan, and considering that in the Model 3 and Y we use the 2170 cells, which are supposed to be brand new and just overall better and more energy dense and whatnot, right? Those cells are actually much better at handling battery degradation. Like, they degrade less, which is going to be even better because that means if they, for example, like Tesla uses Model Y or Model 3, for example, to carry passengers from LA to Las Vegas, and they supercharge, what they'll have is basically a battery that can last them such a long time, and possibly even a million miles, with still more than 80% capacity remaining. And that's happening today. And just to know how crazy that actually is because that's actually happening today, right now. I don't think in Battery Day the big deal is going to be on, oh my gosh, we have a million-mile battery, it's going to be all this and cool stuff. I don't think that's going to be the actual the big deal, the big cause. So what I think the big cause is actually going to be is a solid-state battery. Yes, these are essentially my predictions at this point.
I think they've already got a million-mile battery. If they're going to make some kind of an announcement, it's going to be, we've got a solid-state battery. if they've got that, I'll pop the cork. Right, we got champagne in the other room, so I'll make that happen. I would be delighted, because if we saw that, we could see an improvement in the planet in a really short period of time. So, and that's a fact.
I think Tesla will go for a solid state battery. In the podcast between Elon Musk and the Third Row Tesla team, they actually sort of hinted, well, Elon sort of hinted that there is actually going to be like a solid state component to a battery, maybe, because Maxwell has this dry electrode.
Tesla acquired Maxwell.
It's so
Full
cool.
circle.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're looking forward to that investor day.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
That's great. Great to know.
Maxwell has a bunch of technologies that are that where, if they're applied in the right way, I think can have a very big impact.
Like the dry electrode stuff?
That would be one of them.
Oh.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Much bigger deal than it may seem. Yeah.
Well,
And there's a few other things.
with the space that it takes up for the ovens, that for the current technology, you can save all that real estate space now. That's one aspect, and the cost reduction, the weight savings. I mean, there's so many pluses, right?
Yes, I mean there's many things there, but I'll have to wait until whatever battery day.
Sure.
Which is hopefully in a few months. But I think we've got some pretty exciting things to share.
So the reason why batteries actually degrade is because we have this liquid electrolyte, and basically when you charge or discharge, especially really quickly, it creates sort of these cracks, and once these cracks happen, you can't really charge or discharge as quickly, so capacity over time degrades, if you get what I mean. And the more cracks you have, eventually the cell will just become unusable, but that happens after many years, probably decades. Especially if the cell is well taken care of, it won't happen for a very long time. So that being said, with a dry electrode, the chance of that happening is very low. Any sort of cracks or anything developing is very low, which means that you have extended the life of the battery. That could be the difference between Tesla running their cars 24/7 and charging them with superchargers and just draining them back down again. And by the way, I think those people also charge to like near 100, so they're really putting their batteries to the test right there. And if the batteries can get 700k miles out of those, 1 million miles is going to be the milestone for sure. Especially if, for example, that solid state battery does come to be. It could possibly even be a much more dense cell, and it can actually prove to be a much more efficient way of packaging everything, where you can get possibly a 400-mile range in a Model 3 now with the same size and weight of the battery pack, but now the actual capacity of the battery pack has increased to, say, 100 kilowatt hours. That is not unknown or just something that's impossible. That can actually happen, and that, I'm guessing, will happen on battery day. It's going to be something like this that's going to happen. It's not going to be some stupid million-mile battery, which we basically already have today, and that even with V2G, and if you take out the battery, put in grid storage, like we have that today, okay? I think it's going to be mainly about improving the energy density and the overall range. I think that's the best way to put it. I hope I clarified some things up or something, and yeah. Thank you for watching. Peace. Why are my eyes like that? Why does it look like I'm like crying? Why are my eyes watery? I think it's just the lighting. It's weird. Yeah. I've been staring into the abyss for so long. It's the lighting that's messing me up.